Hi girls, today in this topic I'm going to explain user-defined functions in C. Before we start user-defined function, let's see what is function in C. A function is a group of statements that together perform a task. Every C program has at least one function, which is main function is also a user-defined function with the keyword of main, because for the main function the user only writing the coding. Within the main function, the user only write the coding. So in C there are two types of functions, but here the first I'm going to tell is what is function. So function is a group of statements that together perform a task. You can divide up your code into separate functions or modules. How you divide up your code among different functions is up to you. But logically, the division is such that each function performs a specific task. A function declaration tells the compiler about the function name, the return type, and the parameters. Why we use functions in C programs, or use the same set of statements every time you want to perform the task. If you want to perform a same set of coding for more than one place in a particular program, you can repeatedly write the statement for the 2 or more times. To avoid that, you can write a set of coding that is repeatedly used in your program in many places and kept in a place, and you can call it whenever you want to perform the task. So this is the use of the function in C. Use the same set of statements every time you want to perform the task in your program. Create a function to perform the task and just call it every time you need to perform the task. So why we need the user-defined functions? Or there are sometimes when some types of operation or calculation is repeated at many points throughout a program. In such situations, we may repeat the program statements whenever they are needed. Another approach is to design a function that can be called and used whenever required. This saves both time and space. Okay, so this is the need of the user-defined functions. Once again, I repeat this. There are sometimes when some types of operation or calculation is repeated at many points of the program. In such situations, we may repeat the program statements whenever they needed. So C functions is a programmer-defined functions. Functions written by the programmer to define a specific task is called user-defined functions. Functions are invoked by a function call. The calling function asks the called function to perform a task. When the task is done, the call function reports back to the calling function. This is the procedure of the function. We will see in detail in my next slides also. In C, there are two types of functions. One is the predefined function. Second one is user-defined function. Predefined functions are library function and declaration in the header file. You can see in C programs the library functions are hash include stdio.h is used for the library functions scanf and printf. So these two functions are scanf and functions only I explained you in my last classes. In most of my programs, we used these two library functions only, the scanf and printf. So this is the predefined functions. For these two functions, the user doesn't write any coding. The user just call the header file stdio.h for the scanf and printf to processing in their programs. But contrast to the user-defined function is the predefined function. But here the user-defined function is the codings are written by the user. So for a main function also, the codings are written by the user only. So main is also an example of the user-defined function in C. User-defined function is mainly used to reduce the complexity of the program. Why we say it reduces the complexity of the program means a particular set of statements you may be repeated in many places throughout the program. At that time, you no need to repeat the statements again and again. You put these statements in a particular name and you can call it just. So that is a use called the reduce the complexity of the program by using the user-defined functions. So this is the syntax of the user-defined function. The first, return data type, function name and the arguments, and start a curly brace. This is the body of the function and the statements and return statement here, and close the bracket here. So this is the call the function from the main, function name, arguments. So this is the example program of a user-defined function. Here this is the main function. Within the main function there is a another user-defined function address. This is the function called. Okay. Before use a function like variables, functions also declared in the C programming. So that is called the prototype. Function prototype is called the function declaration. Like the variables, functions also declared before they used it in the programs. A function prototype contains the function's return type, the function name and the parameter list. Writing the function prototype is declaring the function. And again I repeat this is like the variable declaration. You have to declare the functions also in C programs. Here this is an example of function prototype or function declaration. This is the return type, this is the function name, this is the parameter which going to pass that data type, and this is the parameter is the x. In function declaration or prototype, specifying an identifier, that is the parameter name, is optional. The following example is legal in a function declaration. So here this is the in some compilers there is no need to mention the variables too in the prototype or function declaration. Writing the body function is defining the function. Okay. So here declaration and defining. Declaration means the prototype. Defining means the function what will going to perform or kept inside the defining function. So here this is the return type of the return data type. This is the function name, this is the parameter and parameter data type. Here inside the function the operation performed is just it's quite the two numbers. So once again this is also the concept related to the function prototypes. A function must be declared before it can be used in the program. To do this you can add a function prototype before main to tell the compiler what functions you are planning to use. Like the variable, why we declare variable in C programs? It just to tell the compiler what type of data it will hold and what the variable name is. Like that here, this is the prototype. The function prototype is used to tell the compiler what the functions are planning to use, and then a function prototype tells the C compiler that these three things. The first one is the result data type that the function will return. Second one, the function name. The third one, information about the arguments that the function expects. So these are this is what we have to declare the function, like the variables in C. This is the function prototype. This is the function name. Here two function names are used. The first function name is draw circle, and the second one is the square root. Here this is a void. Void means this function does not return anything. That means nothing. This is the function name, and inside this the function does not pass any parameters, so it's written as a void. Here this is the double, this is the data type. This function returned the value in double type. The function name is square root, and the variable that passed to the function is also in the double data type. This is the prototype. Next one is after the prototype we have to mention the function, that is defining a function. The function body contains a declaration and the statement necessary for performing the required task. The body enclosed in braces contain three parts. The first one, the local declaration that specifies the variable needed by that function only. Function statement that perform the task of the function. A return statement. Okay. Within the function body you have three parts. These are all options only. These are three parts. The first one is the local declaration that tells the variable needed by the function for that local performance only. a function statement that perform the task of the function. Third one is the return statement that returns the value evaluated by the function. Okay, if a function does not return any value, we can omit the return statement. Its return statement should be specified as void. So this is the function definition. In the function definition, the first one is the return type. Here the return type is integer. The function name. This is the function parameter. This is the local variable declaration. I mentioned in my previous slide what will be inside the body of the function. Local declaration, function statements and return statement. You can see in this example too. Inside the curly brace, three things are placed. The first one is the local declaration, local variable declaration. This is the function statement and the return type. If the function does not return any value, you can't mention this return. You just return as void. Or you can also omit that. So elements of the user-defined functions are, in order to make use of user-defined functions, we need to establish three elements that are related to function. The function declaration, that is called the function prototype, the function call, and then the function definition. So this is the function definition. Function definition means the return type, function name, arguments. Within that, body of the functions will be have to be given. What is the body of the function means the local variable declaration, the executable statements, and the return statements. This is if after declaring a function, you have to call the function. How you call the function? By means of the function name and argument list. If it have any arguments, you have to mention it. Okay. So function declaration, this is the function declaration example, that is the prototype declaration that is defined before the main function. So this is an example of a function. This is the main function. Now sometimes the function declaration may be placed within the main function, but it to be better, you have to declare before the main function just as a global declaration. Okay. So here this is the function declaration. This is the function calling. You just call the function by giving the name of the function. Here the function name. So this is the function definition. Okay. After calling a function, it go to the function definition section. So this is a pictorial representation of how the functions are called in C programs. This is the main function. This is the function name square. This is the calling function. When the function called, it go to the function definition. Here this is the function definition. Here the return type is integer. The function name is square. The parameter here, this is the passed as this is the actual parameter. This is the formal parameter. I will explain you that what is actual parameter and formal parameter in my next slide. Sorry, in my next video I will explain that concept. This is just an introduction of what is a user-defined function. So I just explain you the concepts. What is function? What is declaration? What is definition only? Here this is there is no declaration. There is no local variable declaration. Just the executable statement is here and the return statement. It returned the variable yes. This is the type of integer, so it mentioned the data type integer. Okay. So again, this is the function definition. Here the return type, function name, parameters, body of the function. Here the local variable declaration and the executable statements are given in the one statement and the return statement. So this is also example of the function definition. This is the example program. Here this is the function declaration, that is the prototype. In this example, the function prototype is placed before the main function. This is a good practice of programming, mentioned before the main function. So it is just like a global variable declaration. Here this is the function name. You have to give the values in integer type only. So here the value is 10 is passed. This is the function calling. After the function calls, it go to the function definition. So here the 10 is used for x. The 10 is printed in the screen. Okay. So this is also example of function. Here the prototype of the function here. And then this is the function calling add a comma b. The two variables are passed. This is the function definition. Add these two values and return back to the main function. I will explain this program in detail in my next class. Due to the time limit, I will explain this program in my next